Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories are from MaliciousCompliance. Story 1 is by Hoggenly. No shirts down the water slide? Okay. Just remembered a story from my childhood and think it might fit. I'm extremely pale and have wildly sensitive skin. As in, I wear prescription sunscreen to go outside for more than 5 minutes, but I genuinely don't ever sit in the sun. I wear huge sun hats and keep myself covered entirely now. Unfortunately, this story takes place when I was about 12, hadn't yet learned to take care of my own safety, and the one time my parents were a bit lax on holiday. I put regular 50+ sunscreen on in the morning, but I went swimming at the beach and then played around for an hour. By the next day, the doctor said I had severe burns on my back and shoulders. Trust me, this never ever happened to me again. I barely get a red nose anymore, I'm so careful. Because it was flippin' agony. Anyway, the rest of that holiday was pretty rough, but my parents bought me a lot of special clothes to get me through. One of which was a light full-body swim costume, a long-sleeve t-shirt and shorts type, so I wouldn't have to worry about burning anymore. It was light enough and it didn't hurt, and it meant that I didn't have to miss out on the water park, which was always my favorite. Some of the water slides had a rule. No t-shirts, but I assumed since mine was proper swimwear it would be okay. Most of the time it was, but one particular time, the guy had a problem. Got to the top of the slide and the guy said, no, you have to take the top off, no exceptions. Even though the slide was on an inflatable ring. So hey, I'm not one to argue. I whipped the top off to expose my lobster red severely peeling back to the masses, stuffed the top down my shorts and enjoyed the ride. I went up a second time, started to take the top off, and the lifeguard yelled, "No!" Guess the rule wasn't so strict after all. Oh, I can feel this one. I had so many sunburns as a kid. My grandmother had a place that was right near the ocean, not like waterfront, but this beautiful little house that was less than a quarter mile from the beach, and we used to go there all the time when we were kids. And I'm extremely pale and I have really sensitive skin too, and I used to get the worst sunburn. I would lather sunscreen on and wear a t-shirt and hat and still get badly burned. All the time. I swear the sun would burn me through clothing. It was that bad. But I loved the beach so much, so I was always out doing things and swimming and exploring and catching crabs and minnows and stuff. That just brings back memories of some of the best times in my life. Wonderful times. It was always around the 4th of July, too, because I remember the parades that would go down the street. Our next story is by Spurling Pipe. Need more space? This happened a number of years ago. For background, I work on a car ferry and am one of the crew members responsible for the loading of the vehicles. I don't do it alone, though, and it's a team sport. Before we load the vehicles onto the car deck, we receive a loading list of booked traffic for the sailing. If someone is not booked, they can wait on standby to see if we can fit them on. With the deck loaded and the boat almost full, I said we could take a small MG if they didn't mind the squeeze. On came the green 1974 MG-B, a very nice small car. After some gentle and slow guidance, it made its way on with the smallest of margins. Cue the shouting from a man in his late 50s, early 60s. I'll call him EA for entitled A-hole. "You there! I can't get out of my car!" There was enough room to open the doors, but not all the way, admittedly. This was besides the point, though, because he was standing next to me a few cars away from his when he said it. "What are you going to do about this? It's a disgrace!" I had to ask him again to repeat his complaint and hope that he would realize how absurd his statement was. He said it again. I tried to stay composed and remember that he might have had a bad drive or even a bad day up to this point. His wife was trying to tell him to be quiet and just to be grateful, but no. We were, myself and other crew members, doing our best to help them. As soon as he said to one of those sailors, "I've paid for my ticket, I demand a full space, you effing morons," my mind was made up to help this gentleman. Cue MaliciousCompliance. I said to him, "I'm very sorry for your inconvenience. You are, of course, right, sir. If you would like to get back in your car and just back up a little way, we'll be able to get you all the space you need." EA. "About bloody time." Once he was ready, I got one of the sailors to start guiding him from the back of the car. OP. "Keep it going," as his car backs up. Sailor guiding the car. Keep it going. He definitely knew what the plan was. The car was backed off the boat and heading back for the car park. At this point, EA figured out what was going on and demanded to know what was happening. The sailor said that he would have all the room he needed waiting in the car park for the next boat. After EA lost the plot and came out with the usual threats of, "I know the managing director, I'll have you sacked," and we didn't look concerned, his wife snapped and went ballistic at him. Following a major dressing down in front of everyone, she made him apologize and ask politely if they could reboard. We said that because his wife was so awesome, that would be fine, but to listen to her advice in the future. Was this the MG or was it somebody else? Because you said this person was already out of the vehicle standing and talking about their car from several feet away. So it must have been somebody who was parked right next to him, is my guess. The person in the green MG didn't complain. It was somebody else that was standing there. And why worry about it? And if you're on sort of like a ferry service like this, you typically don't have to go into and out of your car when you're in a ferry service. You either stay inside it or you walk around in the ferry. So I don't know what he was grumbling about. Just wait till it docks at the next location and it's going to disembark the vehicles, then you'll have room. Some people just want to fight about something, and I feel like this guy might have wanted to, until his good old wife there brought him down to size. Our next story is by Flashy Imagination 83. Force me to wear a dress? You won't like what you see. Hello, this happened to me 2 months ago, but I only thought about posting it now. First, a little context or backstory. I, a 19-year-old man, am severely closeted trans man, FTM. I recently moved to the US from Africa, I will not specify where for safety reasons, to study abroad. In reality, I moved in hopes of escaping the anti-LGBT laws and the sad reality of being queer in Africa. I hoped in America I could find a future where I could truly live as myself. Spoiler alert, I didn't. Not only does it seem like America hates trans people as much as Africa, but also my family here seems to be 10 times more strict, closed-minded, and traditional than my family back home. For those who don't know, being an international student is expensive as heck. My family is not poor, but we are not covered in wealth either. So to be able to live here, I needed to move in with my family in America, at least for the time being. Now to the actual story. A year ago, my cousin graduated from community college and was going to transfer to another university to complete their degree. We were all taking this route because it's cheaper. Naturally, we all had to attend said graduation. And people from immigrant families can't possibly relate, but family insisted on being well-dressed, overdressed, for the occasion. I hate dresses with all my heart. I have hated them for as long as I can remember, even long before I realized I was trans. I hate how they look, I hate how they make me feel, and it feels like I'm on the verge of a panic attack every time I'm forced to wear one, especially in public. You can probably tell where this is going. I was forced to wear one for the graduation. You cannot fight or talk back to your elders in my culture, no matter how old you are. I tried to protest as much as possible, but the decision was final. I genuinely wanted to unalive myself that day. Anyways, this year was my graduation, and I knew since last year that the same thing will proceed. My family will ask me what I have to wear for my graduation, and even if I had a perfectly nice suit that was appropriate for the occasion, they'll force me to go dress shopping and wear one to it. But this year, I came prepared. I didn't mention it earlier, but for over a year and a half now, I've been on a weight loss and bodybuilding journey. In fact, the whole incident last year has made me double down and work out even harder. Losing weight and building muscle has been a way to help me manage my body dysphoria. Not only do I now look more masculine, but I look pretty cool with muscles too. Like I said earlier, my family is very traditional, so they live by certain gender expectations. And one thing they absolutely hate is masculine girls and feminine boys. They hate muscular girls with a burning passion, saying it looks ugly or unnatural. So this year, when they brought up the dress shopping for my graduation, I didn't even put up a fight. I went along like nothing was wrong. While dress shopping, I purposely picked the most tight-fitting dresses, sleeveless ones, and even unattractive ones. I've been able to hide my body progress this whole time by wearing loose and baggy clothes around the house. So when it came time to try on the dresses and I came out of the dressing room, the pure look of disgust on their faces is the one I cannot describe. I had to try so hard not to burst out laughing in the moment. While I'm not the most muscular person out there, I still looked pretty buff in those dresses. Simply put, I looked like a man in those dresses. And they hated that. Ha 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 ha. The worst part is that they could not even complain about my body because my weight has always been an issue and talking point in my family. So even though they hated how I looked, at least I lost weight, so they can't complain. I was even considering lat spreading as I came out of the dressing room, but that might have pushed it too far. I had to look up what lat spreading is. It's the typical hands on hips pose that bodybuilders do to show off the muscles in their back. Anyway, long story short, they hated every single dress and allowed me to wear my suit, which I looked much better in. And now, even though I won, I constantly get comments about working out too much for them. On the bright side, since I graduated, I'm finally moving out after summer. Hopefully with more freedom and less fear, things will be different this time. I can't fathom what it's like to be a trans person at all. And I can't fathom what it would feel like to finally find something that makes you happy in your life. You feel out of place, wrong, bad your entire life, and suddenly you discover it's because I'm the wrong sex. And then you're finally happy until you realize how many people out there have an issue with it. I'm all about people doing whatever they do that makes them happy as long as it's not hurting anyone else. I actually taught a couple kids when I worked at school, and they were trans kids, and they were just the nicest and smart kids. And they should be able to be happy, and that's all it comes down to for me. But yeah, I have heard that it's pretty bad for trans people in Africa. It's pretty bad for people who are gay or bi or trans in Africa. I guess it's pretty bad down there. There's a lot of countries where it's pretty bad. But hopefully with your family in the States, at least over time, they'll start to let you at least wear the clothes that you feel comfortable in. There's a lot of completely straight women that wear business suits, and they look fantastic in them. They can wear a dress or a suit, and they look great. If you're not comfortable in a dress and you want to wear a suit, you should be allowed to. And maybe in time, they'll start to see. And it sounds like at the end of this, they said that you look better in a suit. So maybe they'll change in time. Down in the comments by Awkward Sex Pun. My family insisted I wear a dress to one single event after I came out. I showed up with a cute little above-the-knee floral dress, complete with facial hair, unshaven legs, unshaven pits, and a binder on under the dress. Also, with no time to change. Never had another request for anything femme for some reason. Wonder why that is. Ha 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 ha. You go, not girl. That's one way to do it, I guess. Just to be the scary, hairy one. Our stories for today have come to a close. Until we meet again, have a beautiful day.